We enter this year more than $4 billion in debt. For the present, I bring you a budget that has two underlying messages. One, we have to spend less because we have less to spend. Two, we must tax no more because the people have no more to give. The substance of this budget is built on four core principles: fiscal discipline, limited government, free enterprise, and reform. Fiscal discipline means no new spending. It is our road to limited government. It means a return to free enterprise where business and industry and labor are no longer hobbled by needless restrictions and strangled by reflexive taxation. If we are to create jobs, we have to stop looking for reasons not to allow something. We need to find ways to make things work, to make jobs grow. It's easy to find a reason to spend. Now we have a reason to stop. Some have suggested a modest tax increase to fix this quandary. I see three problems with this idea. First, tax increases only seem modest to the people collecting them. The people paying them, the sales clerks, the millwrights, the farmers, the moms and pops who run the corner stores, ask them if a tax hike ever seems modest. A one-time tax hike becomes a two-time increase, then three, then somehow it's permanent. Think of the Johnstown flood tax. It was passed to help that city recover from the flood of 1936. That was 75 years ago. That's what happens to temporary taxes. One-time fixes become permanent burdens. The second problem is that tax increases choke growth. Every credible study on the subject has taught us this. The states that have grown the fastest, attracted the most jobs, have stayed out of the way. If you tax less, people will see the point in earning more. If you regulate more sensibly, businesses will be able to maneuver in the turns of tight economies. The third reason not to increase taxes is pretty simple. The voters said no. The option I have chosen is to reduce the size and cost of state government. I'm proposing something we haven't had in a long time, a reality-based budget. The electorate, its trust scraped to the bone by lies and half-truths, isn't going to stand for another broken promise. I said we'd cut. I'm not asking you to read my lips. I'm asking you to read my budget. Now, we all know there's an elephant in the room when it comes to education funding: the property tax. Too often we have seen school boards raise property taxes to avoid the hard and necessary choices. It's human nature. When you're spending someone else's money, it's easier to say yes than no. I believe any new property tax increase beyond inflation should be put on the ballot. If school boards can't say no, maybe the taxpayers will. Let's listen to the taxpayers on this one. Some of you are probably scouring the budget just now in search of some pet project, commonly called WAMs, walking around money. Yeah, it's there. It's not there, plain and simple. In recent years, the Department of Community and Economic Development, we all know as DCED, has been a hunting ground for assorted nice-to-haves that were especially nice to have when looking for a few votes back home. We can't afford that. We never really could. That kind of spending is part of what brought us to this moment. My budget retains an array of tax credits, not as a favor to business, but as a promise to their workers. New and growing industries, like the film industry that is growing up around Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, need a government that knows enough not to shout, "cut," in the middle of a production. Finally, the film tax credit, which we are retaining and never thought to do otherwise, will attract jobs and pump money from outside the state into our economy. The research and development tax credit does the same, so my budget increases it. The computer industry springing up along the banks of the Monongahela, the pharmaceutical firms ringing Philadelphia, the chemical firms, the agricultural firms, all these deserve a break so they can develop the next generation of medicines, the newest innovation in Apple computers or Microsoft programs. With these innovations, they will create the next generation of jobs, and jobs is what it's all about. With that in mind, I'm announcing a new governor's task force on privatization. This panel will explore what jobs now performed by government might better be done by the private sector. The task force is not there to eliminate government. It's there to eliminate unnecessary government. It's there to make sure that when government can get out of the way, it does so. We have an obligation to get things right, to set straight that which is crooked, to balance scales too long tipped out of balance by the quick fix and the easy answer. So it's time to give an account of our stewardship. Let's sit down and deal with the present so we can build the future in a way that respects our past. Let's build a new Pennsylvania. Thank you very much.